especially for like the power metal shows. They're camel toe, you know.
Yeah, that's great.
But you know, that's kind of the other thing is that at all these shows you just get to see all of these crazy characters.
Yeah.
We have seen our share of people. As I just referenced, the guy we went to see Camelot, and this guy, he overheard me say to Murmaider, camel toe, and the place got quiet, and he just yelled at the top of his drunken lungs, camel toe, in his accent, and the band actually like stopped on stage and like, no, we're not called that. It was like his 15 minutes of fame. The entire place erupted in laughter, and then he kept trying to rehash it later, and at that point it had passed.
Yeah.
But, and he was just smiling ear to ear, like he was the king of the world for that minute. But you know, the Opeth show I think is one of your favorites.
I was gonna say that's when you get everything from people really decked out and dressed up to go to these things, and then also you're gonna get people you don't think you'd see there. I guess when we went to that Opeth show, Enslaved opened for them, and then they went on, and I remember in front of us were a couple of bros.
Yeah, you know what we mean by bros.
And so they're all wearing their Abercrombie and whatnot, and they started taking lots and lots of pictures of themselves, like with each other.
It's Facebook Central. They were like getting their Facebook profiles, holding the camera out with their arm.
Yeah.
Here's a picture of me and him. Oh, here's me holding a beer.
Yeah. So, in the middle of the Opeth concert is these guys that are you just see flashes going off of the camera.
And it was while they were playing, right?
Yeah.
It was actually while the show was
going on. It's like they weren't even listening after a while. They were just so obsessed with taking pictures and making little gay faces and shit. It was like Jersey Shore.
Seriously, it really was. And, forever that show has now been referred to as Bro-peth.
Yeah.
That was kind of...
the Bro-peth show.
Yeah, that was something. And same thing when I saw Catatonia. In 07, there were these two bros who were wearing the khaki shorts and the sandals, and they were rocking out like in the mosh pit at the Chance on that lower level. And I was impressed because they appeared to know all the words, which seemed kind of odd. And they got really, really drunk though, and they came together. And by the end of it, one of them grabbed the other one by the head and slammed him on the floor. And then they both got up and high-fived and hugged like, yeah, man, that was the most awesome head smash you ever did. Everyone's drunk at most of these shows.
Yeah.
There's definitely the alcohol stands are lined up, so you end up getting all the drunk ones. But it's not just the old drunk people. Think about the kid at the Symphony X show. The kid's wearing an Overkill shirt, and this kid, he was there by himself. Like he was like the sullen loner at the show.
He looked like he was 17.
And he was walking around like with his arms flexed at all times. Like he was just, look, the show's going to be so awesome. If I had any friends, I swear to God I would tell them about it. And we're just watching this kid. He's just marching back and forth. He's stomping back and forth across the floor before the show started.
Like
it was before, who was the opening man? Blackguard?
I think so, that show.
Or was it Power Glove?
No,
Blackguard was first.
Yeah.
He's stomping back and forth across the floor. The place is still pretty much empty, and he's just like, "Oh God,
here we go!
This fucking show's gonna be amazing." His arms are just pulled tight. And he's just God.
He seriously walked from the right side of the stage and walked around the group of people that were at the front of the stage, all the way to the left side and all the way back. And he did like 18 laps of that.
We kept thinking he was like going to meet up with people, and there'd be people walking towards him. We're like, oh, those must be his friend. Then he'd walk around them like, fucking shit, this show's gonna be intense. He was getting just really, really into it. But these are things you can laugh about. Like the entire time you're there, you're just laughing about people like that.
Now the other thing that I want to bring up, besides people that are drunk or characters like the kid, that just thinks he's the shit. There are those who like to bring drugs to the show, which I don't have a problem. If you like to do that, fine. But I don't like when you're doing it and blowing it like in my face. The smoke.
Oh, you don't like when people blow it in your face?
But when it comes
Chester, did you hear that? Murmaider doesn't like it when people blow it in his face.
When it comes to weed at a show, every you smell it immediately in the air.
The second the show starts, it's like weed sample.
That's right. Yeah, that's immediately when they light it up, and you always see the bouncers with their flashlights trying to make sure no one's doing it, but they don't ever really stop anybody. But the one show I want to refer to is the Apocalyptica show that we saw at the Nokia Theater, or the Best Buy Theater. and there was the guy behind us. Remember, he would get down on his knees to light up his blunt or his bowl. I guess he had a bowl.
He must have had a bowl.
And so he'd take a couple puffs and then stand up and blow the smoke like on the back of my neck, and I would just reek of weed.
Yeah.
And I was getting really pissed because he would nonstop do it, and it was so packed. Remember how packed it was?
Oh yeah, it was shoulder to shoulder.
You couldn't. It's not like you could easily move, you know.
Yeah.
So I started to get really pissed. Now,
because it wasn't. If he was kneeling down to take his puffs, he could have just blown the smoke while he was down there.
Yeah.
At least blow it in your ass.
Yeah.
The new meanings of blowing smoke up your ass, but
he didn't give a shit.
No, he didn't give a shit.
So
what did you do, Murmaider?
Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm pretty good at farting on command. So believe me, this guy, after the first like 3 or 4 times he did it, after that, when he got down on his knees behind me, I started ripping him in his face directly.
Directly in his face.
I was like, you motherfucker. You can take that.
It was seriously 10 minutes of you farting in his face. And you were so proud of it, too.
I know, and I think eventually, after a while, they just left.
Yeah,
they ended up moving.
Yeah, they ended up moving like more towards the middle. We were over at like stage right, and they moved to the middle. You were like the look on your face. You were like trying to squeeze him out in this guy's face. He wasn't very happy about it.
Douchebag, like.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, if you guys want to do that stuff, that's cool. But you don't need to blow it directly in my ear or anything. Yeah. I mean, every show we go to, the second the first band hits the first guitar chord, it's weed central. Yeah. So it's just so funny to know that no matter we could be going, we've seen a whole load of shows, and every time, no matter what we see, it's always
you're gonna smell it. Yeah.
I mean, I saw Ozfest a bunch of times, and there were people with every bit of drug paraphernalia you can imagine up on the lawn seats, just they're setting up like PCP labs. they're making their own crystal meth just on the grass, on the lawn. But, that's kind of the things you get to see. And that's why, if you guys don't get to go to shows, you have to go to shows.
Yeah.
And the smaller the venue, the better, I really think.
Right. Because, I was going to say also, the one great thing about shows, especially the smaller venues, is that you occasionally are able to meet or run into the bands.
Mm-hmm.
We've run
usually
into,
at the bar area.
Yeah, I was going to say, we ran into Swallow the Sun a couple of times at the bar. They're always at the bar before they go on. And so you could easily go buy their CD and go get it signed, or even just go hang out with them for a little bit.
And you don't have to give them a hand job or anything, but it is kind of cool to just go up and say hey, and it's kind of a cool thing to end up talking to these guys.
Let them know what you think of their music and everything. Let them know that they got fans. So.
We've been lucky. We've met a lot of bands over the course of the last couple of years, and it's a lot of fun for us. And we've had some good conversations with some of these bands too, and that's
Iced Earth.
Yep, Iced Earth. That was good. Yep, Catatonia. Yeah, that was huge because that's kind of been one of our favorite bands, and got to meet them. And we met Swallow the Sun the same night.
That same night, and then we also got to meet Death Clock a couple of nights.
Oh yeah,
we got to hang out with them.
Yep, we got to hang out with Brendan
more
Small
and
Gene Hoglan. I mean, he's one of those guys. If you're into metal, something that Gene Hoglan's done between Fear Factory and Strapping Young Lad and playing with Death Clock. I mean, the guy's in everything.
Yep. And then even Mastodon was there that night.
Yep, we got to meet everybody but Brent.
Yeah.
Brent he was storming out to smoke.
Yeah. But everyone else was just chilling on couches and walking around or whatever.
And the thing is that all these dudes, at least in our experience, all these dudes have been really cool.
Yeah.
They're not assholes. They're not, when we've met some, between working shows, we've met some rock and, alternative pop bands and stuff. And a lot of them are they just have this thing that they're somehow above music. This is just, I have to meet fans. That fucking sucks. But when you go to a small venue, in particular, we like to go to the Gramercy Theater. The place is tiny. Yeah. You can't walk through there without bumping into somebody. Right. And I think these bands are kind of happy to do that. They go in and they're sitting at the bar, and you come up and say, "Hey, man, cool show," and they always seem happy to hear it. And they get here from Europe, once a year, and it's just, I don't know, it's kind of a cool experience to get to chat with them and let them know what we do. We met the lead singer of Blackguard after they opened for Symphony X.
That's right, on the way out. Yeah.
We had just done Murmaider. You had just done a review of their new album, and you kind of went to give him our card, and he's like, "Hey man, we did a review." He's like, "Oh yeah, you sent this to me on Twitter," and it was he was really cool about it. We talked to him for a couple of minutes, and that was awesome. So that's go to the shows, and also in talking about how we want everyone to support these bands, go to the shows and buy a T-shirt.